Morning, church. I'd just like to say thank you for the honor and the opportunity to share my story with you. It's not only honor but a privilege. My story starts basically when I was born. I was born into addiction. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom divorced him and remarried 5 years later. First memory of my real father was not a very great one, but nevertheless he was my father. Later on in life, life carried on with me. I was very privileged. I had a pretty loving family. Mom and stepdad were fantastic with me. And then I was about 14 years old. My best friend died. He was shot, and I lost a very good friend every year since then. You know, it's all unnatural deaths, being shot and that. Us as a group, we made a pact that nobody would push us around anymore. And through that, we kind of became quite a tough group, and we got into a lot of trouble. You know, later on, my real dad died when I was 19. Passed away, and my last words to him were, "I don't want to see you anymore. I don't want to have anything to do with you." And he passed away after that. So I kind of had to live with that my whole life, you know. Started using narcotics in that when I was a little boy. I was just after my best friend died. I really went quite bad onto it. Moved home back to St. Francis, where I started working at sea. And for about 10 years I was on the ocean working as a skipper. I studied as a skipper, and I skipped boats for about 10 years. I then left St. Francis, went up to Joburg to pursue a career in fighting. You know, I guess as you go by in life, you know, I was still and you don't acknowledge God through these things. God takes these privileges, takes these abilities that He's given you away from you. I won my last man standing fight, had a bad car accident, and that took me out the ring. My coach, which had been training me since I was a little boy, he passed away. He had just finished studying as a doorman. So I guess that was my first real acknowledgement that God had something else in store for me at that point, you know. From there, it was just a downward spiral. From there, I went into a very dark place of my life, and yeah, it just was no good, you know. My life had spiraled out of control. Yeah, I was really up to no good. From there, I did a reality show, and my life continued to spiral out, you know. I was arrested. I spent 9 years in prison, where I started to find God for the first time, you know. I started to read the Bible in prison, and then I came out of prison, and I guess my ego, which I like the paraphernalia of edging God out, you know, took hold of me, and I just continued with nonsense, you know, until I found myself up in Bella Vista, deep south of Joburg. I started, my pastor there, Pastor Randy, he really started working with me. I remember going into my first day in going into church, and them doing an altar call, and my pastor praying over me and saying that my days of suffering, my days of all this are gone. You know, God is going to use me in many a way to help people which have gone through the same thing. And now the funny thing was, Pastor Randy didn't really know me much at all. He had seen me once or twice when they came and did ministry in the prisons, so he knew me from there. But mostly he knew me from going into church for the first time, you know, and he took me under his wing. You know, and I think that love which he showed me there was actually one of the things which really attracted me to Christ. So yeah, so I hadn't spoken to my folks in 9-10 years, and you know, so this was quite a shock. I remember feeling the Holy Spirit hit me. I fell back like that, and they continued to pray on me as I was lying on the ground, you know. Long story short, got to Humansdorp, climbed on the taxi, head out to St. Francis. Now I'm walking along from the entrance to St. Francis to the house. I was nervous because I didn't know what my folks were going to say or anything like that. I remember ringing the bell and my folks looking out the window like this, and they weren't sure like who it was, and then they recognized it was me. They came outside, and they welcomed me with open arms. My mom was stoked to have a son back. I spoke to my folks, told them where I was in my life, what my intentions were, and they were really happy to have me back home. I remember that Sunday going to church with my aunts and them at United Church, and sitting there, and Pastor Paul was talking about the prodigal son and just how God delivers us and brings us to new places, and my aunt tapping me on my shoulder. At this point the tears are running down my eyes. It was like the most amazing feeling, but not tears of sorrow or anything, just really happy thoughts. And I was home. My aunt tapping me on the shoulder and saying, "Gaz, you realize you're home?" And it was beautiful, I was home. I'd come home to the place I loved, to the people I loved, and so that was quite moving for me. And I just thank God for everything He's done for me, giving me my life back, and just giving me the fresh health, fresh way of living, and the right way of living, and keeping my eyes focused on Christ at all time. I know that God has got a lot more work for me to do. And that's my story. Thank you very much, and God bless everybody.